A large commercial bank is evaluating its credit exposure to various non-banking financial companies, that is NBFCs, engaged in diverse activities. Currently, the bank has provided credit to 3 different NBFCs as outlined below. First one is NBFC A, which is engaged in infrastructure financing with an exposure equals to 15% of bank's Tier 1 capital. Then next is NBFC B, which is engaged in equipment leasing and lending activities with an exposure equal to 20% of bank's Tier 1 capital. And lastly, NBFC C, which is a group of connected NBFCs primarily involved in lending against gold jewelry with an exposure equal to 10% of bank's Tier 1 plus Tier 2 capital. If the bank intends to increase its exposure to one of these NBFCs to optimize capital allocation, which of the following strategies would be most compliant with RBI's guidelines on prudential ceilings for NBFC's exposure while still adhering to capital allocation objectives? And these options are given to you. That is, first option is increase exposure to NBFC A by 5% of the bank's Tier 1 capital. Then option B says increase exposure to NBFC B by 2% of the bank's Tier 1 capital. Then option C says increase exposure to NBFC C by 3% of bank's Tier 1 plus Tier 2 capital, given that additional lending is also infrastructural financing. And last option D is maintain existing exposure levels for all NBFCs due to prudential ceiling constraints.
Now friends, if you are preparing for JAIIB, then your biggest hurdle is completing the massive syllabus.
Friends, do you know that JAIIB pass percentage has dropped to just 14.70% after the recent syllabus change? And this is not because bankers are not studying, but because first the exam expanded from 3 to 4 papers, making it far tougher. Then second and most important reason is the syllabus has become massive, bulky and intimidating. So most bankers lose their motivation the moment they open their textbook after a long working hours. Now I am introducing my JAIIB Masters Pack, which is designed exclusively for the new syllabus and updated exam pattern. Now first are these 4 summarized notebooks which provides you clear, engaging and in-depth learning, but they are never bulky. Then next are these 4 question banks which are filled with case studies, numericals and exam focused questions with detailed solutions. Now the format of books is motivation friendly, that is, these are easy to revise even after long working day without getting bored.
So order your JAIIB Masters Pack from the links given in description of this video and clear your examination in the very next attempt.
Now friends, under current RBI guidelines, the exposure to a single NBFC, excluding those involved in gold loans, is capped at 20% of bank's Tier 1 capital. Now this means that the bank cannot increase exposure to NBFC B beyond this current 20% limit. Next, for NBFCs predominantly lending against gold, that is NBFC C, the maximum possible exposure is 7.5% of bank's Tier 1 plus Tier 2 capital. And this can be extended up to 12% if the funds are on lend to infrastructure sector. And since NBFC C is already at 10%, an additional 2.5%, which is totaling 12.5%, is permissible if the additional lending is for infrastructure. Friends, please note increasing exposure to NBFC A would breach the 20% potential limit. Thus option C is the only strategy that complies with guidelines and also optimizes capital allocation. So friends, I hope you understood this explanation.